I think it's time for our wrap-up segment on what we think. We're going to talk about this into the bye a little bit more in detail. But I'm going to start with Kevin and tell us what your opinions are on the rest of the Bills season and what they'll need to do. You just predicted a loss, so what they'll need to do with that information.
Well, I did predict a loss. Now, I could easily see a win, but I have this weird feeling that the Bills are going to end on a tear. I think they're going to get as healthy as they can, because guys like Trey White and Matt Milano probably won't be back for the stretch run. We know Trey's definitely done. There's still a glimmer of hope for Matt Milano, even though Sean McDermott did say that his season is most likely done. But you look at these guys like Taron Johnson, Dane Jackson, Taylor Rapp, Dawson Knox should be coming back. Like you said earlier in the show, I could see him back. He is eligible to return this week, but the injury was a little bit more serious than they expected. So they'll probably hold him out this week, give him the bye. He should be back against Kansas City. So I think they're going to get as healthy as possible. And I think that they are going to rip off 5 straight wins. Now, here's something interesting that I found this week here. So if you look at the Bills' last 3 seasons, 2020, they finished on a 6-game winning streak, and then they won the AFC East. 2021, they finished on a 4-game winning streak and won the division. Last year, they finished on a 7-game winning streak and then won the AFC East for a 3rd year in a row. So what happens this year? Now, I'm going to remain optimistic and say that Joe Brady and this offense is going to continue to get back on track. And like I just said, the Bills are going to get healthy at the right time. And I think that they're going to take this tough loss in Philly. They're going to go into the bye. And this year, they are going to rip off 5 straight wins en route to a 4th straight division title. Now, on the flip side of this, let's look at the Dolphins' schedule, because I see them losing their final 3 games, setting up a pivotal Week 18 matchup down in Miami for a winner-take-all type of scenario for the AFC East. And that's where I have the Bills winning to finish at 11-6 and winning the AFC East, knocking Miami down to a wild card or maybe not even in the playoffs anymore.
Interesting. So 11-6, win the division, 3 seed? Or is that the 4 seed for you at that stage? What do you think?
I haven't gotten that far yet, but basically, okay, so let's look at the Dolphins' schedule. So they play the Jets. Oh, this game is in New York. Okay, so they're in New York on Black Friday at 3 o'clock, and then they go to Washington. Now, those will probably be wins, but who knows? I mean, they're on the road, colder climates. Tua could falter. And then they come back home to play the Titans. That is a primetime game, December 11th at 8:15. I don't know if that's Sunday night or Monday night. And then they play the Jets. So realistically, those are probably 4 wins. So I think the Dolphins are going to be 11-3. And then they have Dallas, Baltimore, and Buffalo. And that's where I think the season unravels, where I think that the Bills are going to be 7-6, whether that means that they beat Philadelphia and lose to Kansas City or vice versa. I think either way, the Bills are going to be 7-6, and then they're going to rip off 4 more wins to claim the division title. So that's how I see it, where the Bills are going to be playing their best football down the stretch once again. And I don't know. I mean, I just have that weird feeling that it could come together. Like you said, I mean, the numbers are still very favorable for the Bills. Vegas still favors the Bills. All the betting odds are on the Bills' side. Josh Allen says that he feels like he's effing back. I mean, let's go, baby. What do you think, Kevin? Is this something that we could see? Because I'm already thinking about clipping this up and posting it and pinning it on my Twitter for when we come back to this in January.
I think it's a good prediction because I think that you get the best from these teams and their backs against the wall, hence the streaks that you talked about. Like, that's why you get those win streaks. Those aren't just for fun. I think that you know what you have and what you're going to be needing to do to win this thing. And I don't believe that this is a not playoff team. So even if they can't come and they're able, like say the Dolphins are able to beat the Cowboys, I mean, that may put it out of reach. But I don't think what's going to put it out of reach is the Bills to go in and face a team where no one's going to want to see them, whether it's Baltimore, who they've already beaten in the playoffs, whether it's Miami, who they've already beaten multiple times, whether it's Kansas City, who they can conceivably beat in Arrowhead again. Like, there's a lot of situations where the first thing the Chiefs are not looking to do is probably play the Bills in the wild card round. That's probably not their toward the top of their list of things that they need to do. They probably, no offense, they probably are looking at it. They want a Steelers team. They might want a Browns team. They might want one of those situations they feel they can dictate. They're probably not going to want a team where they've, feel like could play pound for pound with them in this thing. So ultimately, I do think the Bills do enough to make the playoffs. Will they do enough to win the division? I think it's fair, but you just listed off 4 games. I do think the Dolphins are going to have to drop one of them. If they do, now it's fully in play. I don't think they can go 4-0 and give the Bills much of a chance, because I still think there's a chance that they could. I don't think they're going to be Baltimore, but I still think that there's a chance that they can slap together a win against the Cowboys. So we'll see. But I think we need one of those 4. We don't need them to lose 3 of those 4. We do need the Dolphins to drop, I think, one of those 4 games that you just went over. And hopefully Vrabel's got some plans for them on a primetime game. Hopefully the Jets have one in them. Maybe the Commanders can have a sneaky game with Howell and some of the things they're able to do at home. So hopefully one of those scenarios goes the way of the Bills and against the Dolphins for them to be able to do it. And then into some of those losses against the Ravens and et cetera. But there's going to be a scary moment here, Kevin, where they're going to be at least 2 games, maybe 3 games behind the Dolphins for the majority of the rest of the season until those final 3 games. So that's going to be the scary time.
And that's what makes it so interesting, because for the sake of this show, I don't want to switch up, because I did predict the Bills to lose. So I think that the Bills are going to be 6-6. Everyone's going to go into the bye and be very worried, and you're going to watch Miami win, and everyone's going to be down and say, oh, I guess we're not going to win the division. That's not even in the cards anymore. Let's just hope for a wild card. And I think that the Bills play their best when their backs are up against a wall. And I think that they're going to rip off 5 straight wins, because I think it is more likely that they can beat Kansas City than Philadelphia, because they know Kansas City. They've seen them before. I think they match up better against the Chiefs than they do the Eagles. And hopefully, again, they should be getting healthier. So I see the Bills going to 7-6, beating Kansas City, and then beating Dallas, the Chargers, the Patriots, bringing them to 10-6, setting up for that crucial Week 18 matchup between the 11-5 Dolphins and the 10-6 Bills, and the winner gets the division.
It's certainly going to be interesting because Tua doesn't win in cold weather. So he's got a lot of home games. That's going to help them out this season for sure down the stretch. Only Baltimore is on the road. That must be a nice way to finish your season in a historically way to where there is a conceivable chance that the only loss they have is that Ravens game before the Bills. And it may not matter. So we do need to make sure that that something goes the Bills' way, or they take care of all their business. So it's got to be one way or the other, because just a Ravens loss alone would be enough if the Bills can take advantage of their schedule.